There are 3 words, just 3, that can make a woman think about you all day. Not "I love you," not a compliment, not some clever line you found online. And here's the strange part. The 3rd word is the one almost everybody gets wrong, and I'll prove that to you in a few minutes. But before I give you those words, let me tell you about a guy named Jake. Jake did everything right. Everything you've been told to do, and he still got forgotten. The guy who replaced him said one sentence. One, and she brought it up 3 weeks later out of nowhere, like it had been living in her head the whole time. I'm going to tell you exactly what that sentence was, word for word. But if I hand it to you right now, it won't work for you, and there's a real psychological reason why. So stay with me, because by the end of this video, you're not just getting 3 words. You're getting the entire mechanism behind them. Quick question first, has this ever happened to you? Someone said something small, 5, 6 words, and hours later it randomly popped back into your head at 11 at night? You couldn't even explain why it stuck. Type yes in the comments if that's happened. Because that exact feeling, that quiet replay your brain does when everything goes silent, that's what we're reverse engineering today. Now, here's what most guys believe. More effort equals more attraction. Text her more. Be more available. Reply faster. Sounds logical, right? Except the human brain doesn't work that way. At all. Your brain gets flooded with information every single day, and it physically cannot keep everything. So it runs a filter 24/7, asking one question about everything that comes in. Is this different, or is this routine? Routine gets deleted, different gets stored, that's the whole system. Now think about what trying harder looks like from her side of the phone. 10 texts a day. Good morning, how was your day? Hope you slept well. Guys, that's not romance. To her brain, that's routine. Background noise, like traffic outside her window. You're not being rejected. You're being deleted. And deletion is worse. Rejection at least means she considered you. Deletion means her mind never opened the file. If you've ever felt like you're putting in 10 times the effort and getting 1/10 of the result, this is why. It was never about effort. It was about memory. And if this is already hitting different, tap that like button. It takes 1 second and tells YouTube to push this to more guys stuck in that exact trap. Alright, back to Jake. Jake, real situation, name changed, met a girl named Sarah at his gym. Solid guy. And he ran the full program. Texted every morning, remembered every detail, always available, always kind. 3 weeks in, Sarah starts dating someone else. A guy she'd met once, at a friend's birthday party. Jake was destroyed. He asked her, just tell me honestly, what did he do that I didn't? And Sarah gave an answer that explains 90% of modern dating. She said, nothing. He just said something at that party and I couldn't stop thinking about it. One sentence outweighed 3 weeks of consistency. I'll tell you exactly what he said in a minute, but you need the mechanism first, because if you just steal the words, they turn into another cheap line, and women can smell a line from across the room. In 1927, a psychologist named Bluma Zeigarnik was sitting in a cafe in Vienna, watching the waiters. She noticed something strange. They could hold huge unpaid orders in their heads perfectly, but the moment a bill was paid, gone. Total memory wipe. She tested it in the lab and it held up. It's called the Zeigarnik Effect. The brain holds on to unfinished things and drops completed things. Read that again. Unfinished gets remembered. Finished gets deleted. Now apply that to how you talk to women. When you over-explain, double text, answer every question before she asks it, you're completing everything. You're paying every bill the second it arrives. And her brain does exactly what those waiters did. Done. Deleted. Next. The men who linger in a woman's mind leave things slightly open, a thought she has to finish herself. That's not manipulation. That's just how memory decides what's worth keeping. Quick honesty check. Are you an over-explainer? Do you send a second message explaining the first one? Type guilty in the comments, no shame, almost every guy has done it. But Zeigarnik is only half the machine. There's a second effect, and it's the reason you're beautiful has never once in human history made a woman think about a man all day. A psychologist named Hedwig von Restorff gave people a list of similar items to memorize, except one that was clearly different. And every single time everybody remembered the different one while the similar ones got erased. It's called the von Restorff Effect. Whatever breaks the pattern gets remembered. Whatever blends in gets deleted. Now here's the part that stings. Think about what an attractive woman hears every week. You're so pretty. Hey, how's your day? Dozens of guys, same words, same energy. You could be the most sincere man in that pile, doesn't matter. To her memory, you're item 47 on a list of identical items. You were never competing against other men. You're competing against pattern recognition. And you can't beat a filter with volume, only with contrast. So your words need 2 things at once. Slightly unfinished. So Zeigarnik keeps her brain returning, and pattern breaking. So von Restorff flags them as worth keeping. Exactly one type of sentence does both. Which brings us back to that party. And real quick, if you're still watching, you're in the top few % of viewers. If you want real psychology instead of recycled dating cliches, hit subscribe and turn on the bell. Alright, the reveal. At that loud party, this guy turns to Sarah calm, no build-up, and says, I noticed that you listen differently than everyone else here. You're the only one not waiting for their turn to talk. And then he didn't explain it. Didn't soften it, just let it sit and turn back to the conversation. Sarah thought about it in the Uber home. The next morning, at work, her mind kept circling. How long was he watching me? What else has he noticed? Unfinished Zeigarnik, pattern breaking von Restorff. Both boxes checked in 4 seconds. Her brain never stood a chance. So there they are, the 3 words. I noticed that. I know you expected something dramatic. But plain words slip past her defenses. Dramatic words trigger them. Word 1, I. You're not asking for anything. No approval seeking, you're calmly stating your own perception, and that reads as quiet confidence. Word 2, noticed. The emotional payload. Noticing means attention without effort, and research keeps showing that for women, feeling genuinely seen is one of the strongest connection triggers that exists. You're beautiful. Evaluates her. I noticed witnesses her. Word 3, that and this is where 90% of men destroy it. That must point to something specific and true. I noticed that you're cute dead on arrival. That's a compliment in disguise. But I noticed that you go quiet whenever people start exaggerating. Nobody has ever said that to her. Now she has to finish the thought herself. Wait, do I do that? And every time she finishes it, she thinks of you. You're in her head rent-free. But 3 mistakes turn these words into pure cringe. 1, repeating it. Use it every conversation and it becomes the pattern. Once a week is powerful. Once a day is a gimmick. 2, the killer. Explaining it afterward. You deliver the line, she pauses, the pause makes you nervous and you rush in. I mean, like the way you talk. Congratulations, you just paid the bill. Loop closed. Deleted. Her silence isn't rejection, it's her brain processing. Say the line, then stop talking. Survive 4 seconds of quiet. That's the entire price of admission. 3, fake observations. Notice something untrue or generic, and it lands as a tactic which turns you from forgettable to untrustworthy, and untrustworthy doesn't recover. The words are the delivery system. Real attention is the substance. You can't fake substance. And one last thing, timing. Never open with it. Drop it mid-conversation, in an ordinary moment, when she least expects depth. Deep words in a shallow moment are unforgettable. Expected gets deleted, you know the rule by now. Zoom out, because this was never about 3 magic words. Attraction isn't built by the man who does the most. It's built by the man whose words her mind returns to when the room goes quiet. Most men fight for her attention. You're now playing for her memory. Different game and almost nobody knows it exists. So here's your homework. This week, 1 person, 1 honest observation, 3 words, then silence. Come back and tell me what happened in the comments. If you made it this far, type, I noticed that in the comments. It'll confuse everyone who skipped, and tell me your country too. If this changed how you see attraction, hit like, share it with a friend who's still sending 10 good morning texts into the void, and subscribe, because next video, I'm revealing the 5 words that instantly make a woman lose interest. And I guarantee you've said at least 2 of them this month. She remembers the one her mind keeps returning to. Starting today, make sure that's you. See you in the next one.